I'll like if I don't have someone to talk to, I'll just like do it by myself. Usually, what I like to do, like this one, I'm not getting video on.
Okay.
Usually, I like to get video. Right now, my phone storage is full, so I have to solve that problem. But I feel like this works out, just the
Okay.
audio part of it.
Yeah,
But
cool.
but no, the idea of why I like to record these conversations is because I think there's a lot of, as I travel around, there's a lot of cool perspectives that I find, and I like to sort of bring those perspectives out and
And
hear
have a
other
memory
people's.
as well.
Say that again.
Have a memory as well of
Exactly.
this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the simplest thing. It's like, yeah, it's a good memory,
Yeah.
100%. But on sort of the, yeah. So that's the small thing. Yeah, it's just a nice memory. And the grander thing is like, I want to be able to talk to other people, bring more perspectives to light, and share knowledge about how to best live life. I don't know if
Okay, cool.
that's a bit too idealistic, but
Not, actually not. I think that it's a great way of reaching people. It's like that you, how to say, it's like that you reach more people with the same way of living that you have.
yeah.
So it's like that you speak with the voice that maybe some people doesn't have.
Yeah, yes. That's actually another reason why I'm like passionate about this is because I I want to create a space. You know, this is an audio thing, but I feel
Yeah.
like when you listen to this, you invite the space in. So we're creating a space here, and I want to create a space where people feel, even if their perspective is different than other perspectives, maybe they can feel appreciated. And of course, you know, everyone has their own unique perspectives, so we're not going to be able to capture everyone's perspective. But just being open to the idea that there's different ways of thinking, different ways of doing things than what people are stuck in.
Or maybe the same, but some people doesn't have the voice that maybe you have through your channels.
Sure, yeah, and maybe one day it'll get more popular. I mean, right now it's not a popular thing. I've just started doing it, but I think if I do it consistently and continue to do it, I mean, there's definitely some potential there. But
Yeah, sure.
But I think it's not only something to reach people, but to reach people in another way. I mean, like if you have a perspective, for example, just talking to other people can make this perspective bigger or different or smaller if you want.
sure.
I mean, it's just a way to reach the people you are talking to,
Connecting.
and connect.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's cool because maybe something we are saying tonight, it's maybe can be interesting to you, but maybe if you think of it in another moment of your life, you can feel something different about
Yeah.
what we said.
Yeah.
So it's always something that
There's many layers.
Yes.
Many layers to it.
So maybe it's cool because of that, because it's not important in that moment, but it's important now, and it will be important in another way in another moment. So I think that's cool. Not only getting to be listened to many people as possible,
Yeah,
but
sure.
to listen as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So
No, and I'm a believer in quality over quantity in terms of people, in terms of like, yes, that applies to content, but it also applies to, if you want to reduce this down to content, but it also applies to like making something big, like if someone could say, oh, that's a big channel, and they might just be looking at, oh, they have 1 million followers, or whatever they consider big. But I think another meaning of big is like, people that really connect. I'd rather have 100 people that listen to me and really feel connected than, you know, a million
Thousand,
that,
a million,
yeah, whatever, that just like, oh, you know, they check it out because I have good, you know, clickbait, or, you know, I'm able to, you know, grab people's attention and, you know, suck them in or something like that. No, I'd rather people sort of go to it if they feel like it's something that they resonate with, and really have that strong connection. To me, that's more important. And sort of when I first started talking to you guys, I was kind of amazed. Like it was eye-opening for me just to see under the layer of like Calabria a little bit, you know, like, and that for me is really important with traveling. You know, there's so many people that could, you know, book a trip to Calabria and they could, you know, go around to Silverato, Catanzaro, hear about Badolato, wherever the fuck, and just, you know, drink the wine, eat the pizza, you know, look at the ocean, put their feet on the beach. But did they really go there? You know,
No.
I would rather talk to people like you
Yeah.
guys. I mean, you guys grew up in Calabria, right? You guys know what it's like to live here. You know, like you've actually not that you know everything, right? But you actually have a real experience here, and to me that's very valuable. I mean, even just talking about like centro sociale, like I've mentioned that to other people, and they don't, like, that have been here for years, and they, you know, other foreigners, and they don't know what centro sociale is. They're like, what do you mean? And so I think that's very interesting, because I think there's a lot of things that are happening that you sort of have to peel the surface layer back a little bit and really look deeper into and say, like, okay, how are people, I don't know how to put it, like, fighting to live the life they want to live.
Yeah.
And I think all over the world, that's something that we share, you know, as humans. Is, you know, we all live under governments for the most part. You know, there's very few people that are in self-sustainable autonomous villages. We all are, you know, live in a somewhat of a propaganda system, whatever that might be. And it's interesting because I don't think most people know how to define that, or how to, you know, you can't, like, grab onto it, you can't point to it exactly, but it's definitely a feeling, it's definitely an experience that many of us all share. And, you know, it's different here in Italy than it is in America, but it's the Western world, it's sort of similar, I'm sure. You know, there's something similar but different in Russia or China or wherever in the world you are.
The civilized, on brackets, on
Sure.
quotes, world, it's like this. I mean, it's like that you have all this capitalism way of living life, that it's getting a little bit tiring for all the people like us that doesn't want to live like this, and want to live in an alternative way, that wants to live in a world that is free of these constrictions, no?
Yeah.
So you have people that are struggling to live in this kind of societies, and they want to be outside, simply outside, no? They want to be in a place or in a space of mind that they can say, okay, now I'm free.
Yeah.
Now I can do whatever I want without that there is the constriction of the cops that or the laws or the judges, okay,
Sure.
that decides what is good and what is bad.
Yeah.
Because there is an array of...
Or what is allowed or not allowed.
Yeah, exactly. There is an array of experience that the humankind should do, no?
Should be able to experience.
Should be able to experience. And just because someone says, okay, you cannot do it because it's not allowed from the law, they cannot do it, because otherwise they get repercussions. For me, the beauty of having people that fight and struggle against this kind of establishment, it's pretty amazing. It's like something that we need in all over the world.
And it happens in many forms. I mean, in many ways.
Yeah.
For example, self-sustainability is a way to be totally outside of the system, let's call it so. But there are also people who try to live in the system, live inside the system, but to fight it at the same time. For example, choosing to live in Badolato or somewhere else, or in your own land, harvesting your own food, it's a strong choice. And sometimes it also can be something you do for you and for no one else, just because that kind of life is something that
Maybe it's rewarding in some way.
Yes, that makes you live outside the society, and maybe it's something that makes you live your idea of perfect life, but doesn't get to give this idea to everybody, because of course, if you are living in your own land, you are working on your land and you care about it, that's like something which is total, which is
Complete.
complete, yes.
Exactly.
And
It's kind of living in
sometimes,
a bubble.
yes, it's like some,
Isolated.
yes. And maybe the idea of the centro sociale we were talking about the other night, it's something that leads you to live inside the society, because you need people to know that there is another way of living, because this society, the civilized society and everything, convinced us that that's the only way to live our lives. I mean, being selfish and not caring about the land, about the earth, about other people, and making something like centro sociale means living inside the system, because you are inside the city, and so you have to pay for something, and you have these laws of the society over you and over
And
your
you're
back.
still working. So
Yeah.
so you're still working, you're still going to work. It's just you've sort of formed a community within
Yes.
an abandoned building, and you're claiming that space as the social center.
Yes.
And you're making that your home, but it's still requiring input. So
Yes.
like there's the system where it's complete in itself, that you don't need any input in it because you have everything there. But then centro sociale, you still need input. You still need people going to work for whatever job and then coming
Yes.
back and bringing money to then support
Yes.
or fund
More or less,
whatever you
yes.
want to do there.
Because of course, if you want also to make just, I don't know, a social lunch, for example,
Yeah.
no, a lunch for everybody, in which you cook for everybody, you have to buy the food. For example, if you are in the city, of course you can have your own small little piece of land, but
Little garden.
yes, a little garden.
Or for example, dumpster diving, because I've seen a social center that works with dumpster diving. They go to recycle food from the supermarkets, from the marts or whatever. They go in the rubbish, and they take the things that they throw away because they are expired.
Yeah. You can't
But
legally
they-
sell it, but it's still good food.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, it's still good food, and they reuse it for making dinners for everybody,
Yeah.
or lunch.
Sure.
No?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, one of the discussions we have the most in the social center I have been to in the last year, which is in Reggio Calabria, it's about paying
That's the
people.
southern tip of Calabria.
Yes.
Right before Sicily, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's the tip of Calabria, yes. And there is a centro sociale, it's called Cartella, and I've been talking to my friends about that topic. Should we pay for someone who comes here and maybe make some music or makes a show, because a social center also provides entertainment. For
Make like
example,
a venue.
Yeah, kind of.
for example, you wanna, of course, in a social center, and if you want to smoke, do it. In a social center, you make activities which are mostly cultural and which are made for the society, for the people. But and in these activities also exist like things like lezioni di lingue, English
Lesson of
lessons,
language
or
in general, like for
Some
example,
education
Italian
system.
Yes.
education
yeah.
system.
But also you have to think. I want to make these lessons for the people, but there is someone who has to be the
Skip
professor,
job.
for example,
Skip job for
and
doing the
maybe yes, if he doesn't go to work, maybe he needs to be paid to do this, to dedicate his time to that stuff.
Sure.
So it's an open topic. I mean, it's something we are still discussing about. I think we shouldn't pay people. We shouldn't make we should create a
Pay in a
situation.
different way.
Yes, we should
Compensate in a different
create
way, yeah.
a situation in which, if you come to the social center, you have everything you need. So you can sleep, you can harvest your food, you can live your life in there, and it's in a totally alternative way from the normal city way of living. Also, you have to think that in a normal city you have people who has to pay rent, who have to go to work, who have to provide food for their children. So it's very hard to go outside from the system, staying inside the centro sociale. Because of that, most of the social centers are assuming the form of the eco village. I don't know how to say. Yes, eco village. In which you can have your land, your garden, and provide food, and maybe be autonomous with making energy and everything.
Yeah.
But of course, it's hard because it's hard to occupy a place in which you can do something like that. Mostly, the places we like to occupy are
Urban.
urban. Yes, of course, because they are maybe places we choose to be beautiful as natural places, and then someone came and decided that, wow, here I would like to have a building of, I don't know, a building
10-star tall,
Yes.
or whatever.
and then they left it unused because there's nothing who really needs it. And so what you do is to give this place back to the community, to the society, to the people. And you need people to live there, to stay there, but also you have to find a way to let people come to you, because it's hard to let people understand. Most of us are happy with their lives. I mean, that's the
Most people don't even know another way of living.
Yeah.
yes. And what we would like to do is to just let people know that there is another way of living. There are many other ways
Yeah.
of living life.
For
We
ex-
have been sorry.
No, no, no.
No. We have been living in different ways for centuries till capitalism.
Yeah.
I mean, capitalism came and decided that that was the way. Product, money, and power, and laws, and everything. That changed everything. Here, for example, Badolato is a very important example of that thing, I think. Because it used to be a place. I was talking today with a director who made a documentary about Badolato, how it was in the 50s. And she said this was like an open place with open doors, with people staying in the streets all the time. That place didn't exist. That was a castle.
The piazza.
Yes,
right
the
here.
piazza-
I believe it was right here. It was a So
Yes, there was like a castle here, and the piazza didn't exist. It was a place with no piazza, and so they built it then in another time. And I don't remember where I started from.
no, but just how Badolato has changed, and
Yes.
I've been talking to people and really just seeing like, I mean, it's been voted right the second most beautiful village in Italy,
Yes.
and just talking to some people who are sort of promoting that thing, they like the new mayor, and you know they want to bring money in, they want it to be a tourist thing, but then talking to some locals here, even like foreigners that live here year round, that are like, so they're like, we can't live here during the month because they charge 3-4 times more for rent, because then they want to bring tourists in, and then there's a bunch of people that are coming in now, so like now Badolato, it's becoming a bit more alive because of the tourist season, but after these 3 months, it's like nothing's here, and then understanding like, okay, so then like garbage, or just like social services basically are declining because you don't have enough long-term residents here to support that kind of infrastructure. So then it's making life harder here for the people who actually live here, and it's sort of just becoming more of a tourist place. And it's really interesting how they're trying to balance like not becoming a ghost town, but not being sold out. But it seems like they're just selling out, and I have no idea like how you would navigate that as a place. It just seems very difficult.
Tough question. I mean, tough conversation, let's say. I mean, I've been, for example, in Berlin, and I know how they operate. For example, how they balance, no, the living inside a city that needs to attract, let's say, people to different ways of living, and people that live in a bubble outside of the city. And for example, they do that. They have this kind of eco villages that are a bit outside of the city, but still reachable from public services of transport. And when they are in the city, they take out the most of the struggle or the fight that they put inside their let's say fighting capitalism. No, they take out the most because of the fact that they have some retreats outside of the city in the eco villages.
Sure.
So they rest a little bit outside of the city, and when they come back, they are restored.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good model.
This is a thing that, for example, we don't have, because the people that stays in the city, they stayed in the city, and they struggle all year long, more or less. Besides these 2 months, 3 months of summer, more or less, that they go a little bit around. Still, there is some people that still stays in the city and continue struggling, but they remain few, or there is not an exchange of people that goes and comes, so that they can rest. Some other people can rest. Some other people can continue struggle with the cops, with I mean, all the system that there is.
So what does that look like exactly when you say fighting against the system? Like
here, for
what is that
example,
materially?
we use demonstration a lot. For example,
Like protesting.
Protesting, yeah. We sit in a square and stay prolonged hours for saying, oh, we don't want this, or we try to, I don't know, walk in the city and sing, scream against the system, against what they are doing wrong, or I don't know, hunger strikes, For example, there are a lot of prisoners that use this kind of technique of hunger strike for protesting.
That's just not eating.
Yeah,
gonna eat.
not eating.
Yes.
They don't eat for saying, "Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to get arrested for a thing that I didn't have done," for example.
Yeah.
Or wherever. I mean, wherever
rather
is
starve.
the reason. I'd rather starve than following your silly laws.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, it's also something you build day by day. I mean, there is, besides all those demonstrations, all those big actions, we call them actions in Italian. You can do, there are
Come si dice?
actions,
Azioni.
azioni.
Azione.
Yes, it's like the act of doing something.
Yeah.
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 When you can make some actions, for example, a big action is like a protest, a big protest, but also something you can do in small groups, like writing something on a wall or changing an advertisement to change his meaning, or to change the way it's seen by people. But it also is like action day by day in the way you behave in society.
Yeah.
I mean, you can choose to be totally inside society, being selfish, being like having your goal and going to it, not caring about people. But you can also choose to have a different, to behave differently. I mean, to be good to people, to
Direct actions,
in a
for
certain
example.
way teach
Like-
people you can be kind, you can be different from how you are expected to be, or maybe that you can approach things in a different way, that you don't really have to vote to say what you want, that you can change everything by every act in your life. For example, the choosing to be vegan or not choosing to be vegan, or choosing to be I don't know, monogamist or not choosing to be monogamist, because it's also a way to fight the system. The day by day actions, the day by day choices we make as people, as single person, but also as a group, because we also you were saying, I want reaching people, meeting people. It's important to find a point in which you are relatable, in which you are yes, you feel comfortable with the other, and so I mean, it's so hard to me to tell this, but
It's okay. You're
it's
doing
like something you try to do in the small actions
Yeah.
every day. There are also big actions,
yeah.
and they are very dangerous. You know, we live in Italy, and most of us may think, oh wow, it's Italy, it's a free country, they are the first world, they are not the third world, for example, and they are
Developed.
rich,
We're a
they are
developed country.
yes, they are developed, but we also have a very tough government. We have terrible laws. If you make a protest and you don't have the autorizzazione,
Right, permit.
the permit to do this, you can also have 6 years of jail.
Wow.
Okay, for occupying
So
a place.
protesting is illegal.
Yes.
Yep.
Occupying a place, it
It's
means
like that you have to ask if you can go to a protest.
yes, yeah, which is
Basically,
So
Why?
you can't protest.
yes.
but
Basically, you can't.
technically it's against the constitution of Italy, in the sense that in Italy there is an act in the constitution that states the fact that you have the right to protest, and then they make a law to
Override that.
override that.
Yes.
So it's complicated, and it's a lot bureaucratic.
Yeah.
They trick us with the bureaucratic ways
Yeah.
of doing things, in which we struggle day by day, trying to how to say, overcome this kind of abuse that we have from the government.
So here's what I wonder. I think the small actions are more. It seems like the small things are more achievable, and that's very important to be able to just do small things consistently, because that's how change is enacted. It's not by doing big things, because there's been revolutions and then cycles, and then things revolve back to where they were. I I think a lot of it comes down to education.
Yeah.
I think we have
sure.
to, number one, learn what systems work in
Yeah.
terms of like cooperating with each other, whether that's an eco village or like what you were talking about with centro sociale, like how we can organize, or how things can be put together, and then also teaching each other, like you were talking about, like with kindness, like teaching each other to be kind, or like these certain things that maybe aren't so well known, right? So how can we get this information across? Well, number one, learn it for ourselves, and then do the
Teach
personal
to
work.
someone else.
Like last time we were talking, it's you said something I really resonated with. If we're all free, whatever that means, or if we're all able to express ourselves in the way that we're supposed to, again, whatever that means, however we find that, then we are the most beneficial to everyone else. So I think that's another thing too, where a lot of people try to be as beneficial to others as possible, where maybe the first step is, well, how do I align myself with who I'm supposed to be, and what resonates with me, and what makes the most sense with me, so I can live as frictionless as possible, and be able to work, and it doesn't feel like work, because I just feel like I'm existing, I feel like I'm living, and then through that, then other people will be able to garner strength, and then figure out what they can do, and then together we can each have different skills or different things that we can provide each other, and then we can create these communities. But I believe in the small things, in terms of, I don't know, maybe I'm just more pessimistic, but in talking with people that have been in the system, like have worked in IT, or like have seen how these corporations operate, or have seen how the governments operate. I mean, it's scary shit, like it.
Yeah.
And I think there's this attitude that I don't know if the system can be changed, but I believe that we can create our own freedom, create our own communities, and then maybe the model, like you were talking about, like of many different communities operating, and then helping each other out. But so sort of starting like the individual, and then the individual working within the community, and then you have these communities,
Yeah.
and then the communities working with each other, and then that's sort of a way that seems like it's like a little domino to push a bigger domino to push a bigger domino, instead of just trying to push the big domino over. It's like, no, we've got to start with these little things to get this momentum going.
I think you got your answer by asking the question, in the sense that this is probably the best way that we have to change something. Probably we could make some schools, no? There are a lot of, for example, models of schools that starts to a little bit make people comprehend what we are against, no?
Yeah.
Like for example, there is the Montessori, which is a kind of school that is a little bit different than the normal regular school that we have in all over the places, all over the world. Yet there is a lot, how to say, normal and regular, even in the Montessori.
And
What?
and they're very expensive too.
And they are very expensive as well. there
So it needs
was
to be
a model.
accessible.
There was a model, for example, that it was starting in the Spanish Revolution, that took place in the 36, more or less, against Franco. I don't remember well the dates, but against Franco they were starting to have community by community, neighborhood by neighborhood, some schools organized by the people for the people. So they had some. We have a neighborhood. We have a person that knows something. So they go in the school and they start to teach to every children in the school for free. They didn't need money because they start to have a kind of anarchist community. They wanted to have an anarchist revolution. So the FI and the CNT, it was the main antagonist for the fascist in the period, and they had this kind of model of school, but also of university. So they could teach to children and to adults. In the university side, let's say, of this kind of model, it was more or less like I don't know, the way of teaching. It was anarchist in the sense that the things that they were teaching, the things that were taught, it was more like normal and regular subjects, but the way of teaching, it was anarchist. There was no leader, there was no one above another person, so it was a horizontal way of teaching. It was like
Let's find the answer together.
yeah, it was like okay, I'm a teacher, but I'm not above you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
No, that's 100% true. Sorry to cut you off, but
no,
like,
no, sure.
It's like I teach skiing, for example.
Yeah.
And what's so great, like what I love about teaching is every time you teach someone, even though you're teaching the same thing, you teach it in a different way.
Yeah.
And what I really appreciate about teaching, what I've discovered is every time I teach, I'm learning.
Yeah,
I'm learning
exactly
more about what skiing is, just for this example, right? Or like what's going on. And I think what's so beautiful about knowledge is as it's being conveyed, and as it's like, okay, how do I, you maybe get things in this way. I can't, go straight down the middle. Maybe I can come around this way, and maybe you'll get it this way. And as because maybe I'm used to going straight down the middle, and as I go around, then I discover some more things on the outside.
I cut my edges. Let's say.
Yeah, exactly.
No, sure.
And I mean, that's something I never appreciated with education, is how so many teachers have this attitude of like, whenever you come at it with a different perspective as a student, you're put down because that's not the way that they know it. And it's like, well, maybe there's different ways.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that.
But that's the point. I mean, for me, it's like that you have to, I don't know, not have to. The point is that you should, let's say, how to say it. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tired in this moment, so
No,
I'm
you're
a
okay.
little bit
You're okay. I appreciate
trying
you
to.
taking the time. Yeah.
I'm trying to focus on what I want to say. Not seems dumb.
No,
as well.
I think that's interesting, like an anarchist way of teaching, and something that you were illuminating me on when when we first started talking. We were talking about anarchy. A big revelation for me. I think most people conceive of anarchy, and I'm sure there's a lot of propaganda that goes on with this. Anarchy. Everyone's killing each other. There's no laws. It's pure chaos.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about, no, anarchy, it's not about it's not about you don't have responsibility, it's that you have the most responsibility.
Yeah.
Because life is cause and effect.
Yeah.
And being within a system, you can kind of feel protected of like, oh, I'm going with the law, but then you can be doing things that are really negatively affecting people, and we see that all the time in the modern world.
Yeah.
But when it's just when you have to face all the repercussions that you cause, I think most people will really start to consider their actions and start to consider whether what they're doing is actually beneficial to someone, or if they're negatively impacting another person.
Yes. That's why we have to start from teaching and learning. That's why we have to start from reaching people and trying to live with people in the society. First, to let them know, to let them understand that we are unhappy in this society. Because maybe not all of us are unhappy in this society, and we respect it. I mean, I think there is a way of living in which there is someone who lives like we are living right now, but someone who is living in another way. In this society, the problem is that there is only one accepted way, and all the other is mad, weird, strange, or unaccepted.
Yeah.
And so first, the thing we need to do is to reach people, talk to people, and understand if they feel good, if they feel good in their lives. If they don't feel good, then they must have the possibility to only just think about how would I feel better, how could I feel better.
What's the life I want to live?
Yes.
How do I want to live?
What do I want to do? What makes me feel complete and happy and everything they tell us? No, I mean, also this thing of being complete or being happy. What does it mean?
Yeah. And
Why don't we think about it? And why don't we think about how really reaching happiness it can't be for everyone having lots of money or having houses and
buying things,
things.
consumerism.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can be another way, and first you have to be conscious about it. Then you choose which is your way for being happy. But the most important thing is that you have the possibility to choose, to understand that you have the choose, and that you can have the choose, and you must have the choose, the possibility to choose the choice. And if you don't have it, you have to grab it, you have to take it.
Yeah.
And you have to struggle for it. And maybe it can be a different way from me, but also not, because I think that if we, all of us, think in the very deep of us, what makes us. Someone said sometimes, once, there's a song which says, somebody used to be a communist because it was about communism, but we are not communist, because he thought he couldn't be happy if the other people weren't happy. Okay, being communist but also being anarchist or also being conscient is being happy only if we all are happy. And being all happy means respecting each other, respecting the earth, respecting everything. I mean,
we're a part of the world. You
yes.
know, we're not separate from it.
And maybe it's just a way of being conscious, a form of conscience we can reach if we just stop and think and say, okay, well, what am I doing? I'm like an ant.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes, I'm working all the time, not thinking about how I feel, what I want, and living a life which is worthless if you think of it, because you are making things for someone else. Maybe you are working in an industry, or you are making something with your work you will never be able to buy. So you do this with no passion, with no will, with no.
No love, no.
Yes.
No.
And so you are not
So,
living.
yeah.
You're just spending time. And why we are not here to spend time? We are here.
Not
I
to
don't know why.
Let's
but
say not to survive, but to live.
We're here to
yes.
figure out why we're living.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Um,
Also to live. I mean,
yeah.
what is living
Yeah.
in this moment of life?
Yeah, we're not going to be able to
of
put
the
a finger
history.
on it. You know, it's
Yes.
life is wherever it grows.
Like,
Yes,
yeah.
but
I mean,
the most important thing
what
is
makes
life.
you happy?
Sure.
Is life.
Yeah.
If you look around you in the world, I see no life.
No.
I see destruction. I see wars. I see
What
hate.
is happening right now?
I see fear. I see lots of negative things that we choose to take. We choose that they are part of us and they must be the biggest part of us.
Maybe another word for it is consciousness.
Yeah.
Maybe we need
Yes,
more
consciousness.
consciousness, right? And I think what we're talking about, where we need that self-reflection to figure out, what is that life to live. So many people can't even get to that point because the system we're in is training us to be afraid.
Yes.
And I think a big reason why people don't even want to consider living in a different way is because, number one, we don't have the knowledge, right? And and we're afraid that we can't live without this dependency on this thing that I think everyone is aware, like, it doesn't feel great, but most people don't know how to detach from it, how to be able to exist without being a slave to it.
But that's the point. I mean, the point is the fact that the system has made itself self-aware of the fact that they can change based on you don't know how. I mean, the school that they are making are designed for making people that they are exactly aware of what they are doing, just till the point that they can work for them,
Yep.
not till the point that they can live.
Yeah.
So there are teachers that teach you to be conscious enough to work, but not enough.
Is the only thing, but also something you said before is something which was close to safety and maybe feel protected by something like the system. Like, I mean, we were taught we are social animals. I mean, uh, human beings are named social animals, right? Because we need to be.
Homo sapien, wise man.
Yes, but we say we are, in Italian it's social animal, but it also means it's an animal which needs to be in a group to survive. Okay, why?
Which needs
Because
to
the group
socialize for thriving.
makes you feel safe. Going away from the group makes you exposed to danger. Okay, so we sold our freedom.
For safety.
Exchanging it, yes, for safety. I mean, I think it's the main problem. We feel safe until we are part of something, and only now we are discovering, thanks to many
I know.
things.
I started recording it here.
Wait.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I know that this is the constant problem. So this thing. So what just happened? This is the fun of doing this, is fucking working with all this shit. This guy just died.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I
So you
exchanged
start-
this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Fine.
So yeah,
so-
total improvisation here, but no, I get pissed off by the equipment and shit, but I'm learning over time how to do this and how to adapt. But
It's okay, no
Right.
problem.
yeah,
Really.
just making it work.
We are not sound department here. It's
Yeah. What the hell? What the hell? You guys got a truck of sound equipment.
department.
Yeah.
Well, so safety is another important point. I mean, you feel safe until you are part of something, and now we are learning that we can be part of something else and be safe, even though there are no laws, the normal laws, that the ones we have written. And I mean, we don't need written laws to understand that we don't have to kill our brother. I mean, I think that
it's a moral
No,
compass, let's say, that we need to
I don't
follow.
believe in moral. I don't believe in something which is absolute, which is
No. But I mean, killing, for me, for example, killing it's wrong. Let's say.
Go tell it to the Nazis.
And you don't need something.
Exactly. No, that's the point. I mean, it's something that everyone should learn. The fact that killing is wrong, or that homelessness is wrong, or I don't know. It's something discomfort or bad things happening to people. It's something that should never happen. No. Something that we could leave everyone happy with everyone else.
So this is something that I think is important to distinguish, because I think we're talking very idealistically, you know, like
Yes.
and which I think is great. You know, what's the best to say, you know, everyone's happy, but I think the reality is there will always be problems. And this is a good thing, because I think if we lived in a perfect utopia where we didn't have any problems, then we would search to find our own problems. I think we're actually seeing that in modern society. I think the key is not to avoid the problems or not to create a life without problems. I think it is to find a life in which we are within the problems that we enjoy. So whether that's, you know, in creating communities, or, you know, being self-sustainable, you know, protesting, or whatever it is.
Or at least find the solutions together, no?
Yeah.
Like, I think that the utopia, the real utopia, which is not a good thing in a way that I'm describing it, is what we are living right now. I mean, I think that is utopistic to arrive to the point that we are killing each other, that we have wars everywhere, that we have famine, that we have people that starves. I mean, all the chaos that there is right now with the capitalistic way of living. This, for me, is the utopia. For the anarchist way, for example, of living, I think that then there are many ways of anarchist living, because proper that, I mean, anarchism preaches...
It's not defined.
Preaches the fact that everyone is different, and then we need to accept all the differences that there are in our way of living, no? That's a way that, for me, it's more reachable than what we have reached right now. For this, I'm saying that for this kind of understanding of the view of anarchism is an utopia. We could never reach this kind of holy land, or whatever people calls it. No, this paradise that we dream of. That's, for me, it's like. Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, I think that, you know, yes, there are incredibly horrific things that are happening today, and we have more information than ever to see what's happening, right?
Yeah.
But that at the same time, I think, you know, going back to making it small, what's happening right now. The three of us are having a great conversation. We're connecting.
Yeah.
You know, there's good energy here, and I think that it's important to recognize that. You know, I believe, I don't think putting happiness in the future has any fruit. I think it's understanding that there are opportunities for joy all strewn about every moment of every day in life. And I think what I'm trying to teach myself is how to see those opportunities, how to take those opportunities, how to be grateful for those opportunities. And slowly by slowly, and I think it's this attitude that I find as, you know, resonant for going through life, because I mean, fuck yeah, you could live your whole life watching TV and just be absolutely depressed because the world can be a depressing place.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think there are still opportunities, and I believe there always will be, no matter what system is in place, for joy. I don't think it can be squashed out completely. And that gives me hope. It gives me hope, the fact that there's always an opportunity to find that in every moment. We don't have to put it in the future. We can find it in the present.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what I let's say challenge or contest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to say
Yeah.
the right word, but I mean,
Oppose.
what I oppose is the fact that okay, I can have this freedom, no, of having the joy in every little things, no, but other people had it in this kind of society. I mean, with capitalistic way of living, you are sure that with your freedom and you're having a good time, good energy and all this kind of stuff, there are other people in all over the world that can have the same.
I'm sure that if I can do it, if I can find it, and right now, if I can share that with you, or if we can share that with each other,
Yeah.
I'm sure that can radiate out.
Yeah, no, sure.
I can't make someone happy in Brazil right now.
No,
I
no,
can't
no,
make
no,
someone
no.
happy in China. You know,
I'm not
I'm
saying that.
here,
I'm saying the
right?
fact.
So
I'm saying, although the exact same, that for example, in Brazil, there are this apartheid, the big apartheid, where if you are white, you can have a kind of rights. If you are black, you cannot. You cannot. In Africa, it happens that you don't have the same opportunities, possibilities that you can have, for example, if you are rich or if you are poor. There is this kind of unbalanced way of this, how to say,
hierarchy.
big discrepancy, yeah, this hierarchy that there is in the world that makes sure that there are people that can work the land. If anyone should work the land, there are the poor that needs to work the land, which is not a bad thing, work the land. But if you are not willing, if you want to want to make of your life, you want to be a doctor, okay, for example, but you cannot because you are poor. You cannot have the same
Opportunities.
school opportunities that a rich person can have. Or for example, that you not just you want to be a doctor, but you need to struggle against people that are not just rich, but they can buy their place there in the school of doctors.
Yeah.
So it's complicated because I mean, you don't if you don't have the same possibilities and the same opportunities, that you need to struggle twice or 3 times or 4 times more than a normal person. Many people doesn't can't face this kind of struggle and drop school, become a drug dealer, or become wherever. I mean, a bad thing that can become. So, for me, for example, what we should how to say fight is proper this discrepancy that there are between rich and poor, black and white, gay or not. This kind of separation that this kind of system put us in front. No.
Yes, the idea that there is one which is better and one which is worse, and that it's not something in which there are two elements.
Yeah.
It's like I am better, then there is someone worse, and someone even worse. And someone
Everything's
even
relative. Yeah.
worse. Okay.
There's always someone better and there's always someone worse. No
Yes.
matter where you're at. There's always
So-
someone stronger, always someone weaker.
Yeah, so maybe when he was talking about, changing other people's lives, reach people and try to impact to people while doing something is about this, because I think the worst thing is that I'm here having this conversation and I feel lucky having this conversation.
Privilege.
Is that a bad thing?
I think it's good that I'm aware that I am lucky having this conversation.
Okay.
But there is someone who can't have this conversation just because they had an education which gave them just one way of thinking and one way of living, and so you cannot think outside the box, okay? And just because you don't have the money or the knowledge or the
tools in general.
tools to do that.
But
So what we aim is that everyone should have these tools and that everyone should do whatever he wants, even though it's a bad thing, because bad things are part of life, of course, but also knowing bad things makes you aware of what you want for real,
and what is good?
of what is good for you, and not what is told you that is good, what have been told you that is good. I mean, someone told me that beer is good, and I have always been drinking beer because someone told me it was the best drink ever. Then I tried grappa, and they say, "Oh, it's cool. Why haven't I
Drunk grappa
grappa till now?" Yes, and so the fact that we all should have this possibility to know things, to think about things, to have this kind of conversations.
Experience for ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, if you are born in Palestine, you don't have this freedom. You can have this conversation right now. Maybe
You are fighting with other struggles.
your house is being bombed
Yeah,
yesterday.
exactly.
So
It's a totally different reality. Totally.
So to us, it's important to reach people which are close to us. One of our phrases, one of of the things we always said is, think global, act local.
Local, yeah.
Okay, so that's because what you are doing here should be like a butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Something
Affecting someone
which
on the
goes
other side
over.
of the world.
Because if you do it only for yourself, you can change nothing. I think. Well, that's how I think, but it may be wrong. But if you get to talk to people and, I don't want to say change their way of thinking, but change your way of thinking, and maybe change a bit their way of thinking, and find a point in which you meet each other, even if it's just one.
Yeah.
We live in a society which educates us to find differences. Our language is something so
To accept
mad
it.
and
accept
particular, because language
differences.
is. Someone said that language is what makes human different from other animals, because other animals can talk like we do. They don't have our logic way of thinking. So language is very curious, because in order to say that it is a phone, I don't say, I'm sorry, it's a phone because it's a phone. I say it's a phone because it's not stable, because it's not Mimmo, because it's not.
You have to
a chair.
separate it from everything
Yes,
else.
you have to separate it from something. We are used for how we are made, for how we talk, for how we think, to think things separated from other things. And something we have to go back to is the idea that we are not separated from anything. We are part of something. And if I feel bad, it means that everybody feels bad. Because the earth feels bad, because the universe is probably
So then I
feeling bad.
have to go back. Why would you feel bad about understanding that we're lucky right now? Because if you understand that you're lucky, if you can find that appreciation, then that will radiate out, right? And it's like what we were talking about with education, right? It's, you know, there's the teacher and the student, but in an optimal learning environment, everyone's learning, right? And I think the same thing applies to people with more privilege and people with less privilege, right? Like it's yes, you can look at it like, I have privilege. Wow, there's people that have much worse situations than me, and then you can lower yourself to that. Or you can say, I have privilege. How can I share this? And how can we all elevate, right?
Yes.
And that's sort of what I don't want to take away from the experience that I have that's good, because I think that if I can go deeper into that, and sure, I'm incredibly lucky and I accept that, but I think that that's a good thing, because we can share that, and then other people can be lucky, other people can have privilege, and we can radiate that out. Opportunities can be created, you know. I think that's another way of looking at it, and maybe they're both equal, but I would rather choose to live with the mindset that that is a little bit more optimistic than a little bit more pessimistic, because I think that's how things will move that way. We have to have this understanding that yes, things will change, things are changing, and yes, things are bad, but it's kind of like what you're saying with the beer and the grappa, right? You know, like, oh, like, you know, you have to experience one to know the other. Maybe as a collective humanity right now, we're going through this stage of consumerism and capitalism and terrorizing each other and all this bullshit. But what is it doing? Through this, we can see that it's bad. And by understanding that, then we can turn to what is good, right? And so maybe this is just, you know, just totally being distant from what's happening. Maybe this is just a stage in our development as a species to understand, you know, it could go both ways. Maybe we'll fall off the cliff, you know, maybe we'll go extinct, right? Or maybe this will be our opportunity to say,
To strive.
yeah, and to be like, this is what we don't want to have. Now let's find what we want to have.
What I think, in the sense that for me it's like, okay, I would like to take things in a positive way. The problem is the fact that there are a lot of stuff that makes me see the world in a really pessimistic way.
Does it? I have to stop
Yeah.
you. I have to stop you. Does it make you see it in a pessimistic way, or are you choosing it to see it in a pessimistic way?
No, I usually choose to help people. For example, the other day I cleaned all the pool from the bar here in Badolato, no?
They have a
Just because I
swimming pool.
wanted to go to swim in a pool, no?
Mhm.
It was too hot and all this kind of stuff. No, nobody was making it.
Yeah.
I took the action of cleaning the pool. Like that, no? I didn't want money. I didn't want rewards for that. I didn't want to have. I just wanted to swim.
Yeah.
Okay, enjoy.
Reward enough.
And make other people enjoy, because if I clean the pool and they fill up the pool, everyone would enjoy the pool.
Yeah.
No.
You're adding value.
The point is the fact that then the system of this bar, no, didn't fill it up, the pool. find some excuse to postpone the filling up of the pool till the point that we are going away and the pool is still empty and dirty again. So what I'm trying to say is the fact that there is a lot of stuff in the world that maybe if you believe in enough of positive thinking, it's a good thing that can happen things and all this kind of stuff. It's for sure better than everything is a bullshit, so I don't do anything about it. No, I give up because of the fact that I'm pessimistic. I think in a way that I am pessimistic, but I still do things because I understand the fact that needs to be done for people to understand the fact that okay, it's pessimistic, but there is still hope. Okay.
I like that example. So yeah, it's you cleaning the pool, but then it requires other people to fill the pool.
Yeah.
And even though you can't control other people filling the pool, you're still going to do what you can to clean the pool to give
Exactly.
others the opportunity to fill it.
Exactly.
But then it's up to them.
Yeah.
But you're giving them the opportunity.
Even because
Yes,
I don't believe in assistentialism. Like that you do the things, for example, like in a church way, no, that they help the poor, for example, they help the poor because of the fact that they want to feel that they are helping and not because they want to really help. I give them food, okay,
But I am not
but
helping.
I'm not
just giving
helping
the food.
just giving the food. For example, I could be helping more, helping them find a job so that they can provide themselves,
Or teaching
teaching them how to cook,
Yeah.
for example.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like that. I don't believe in this kind of help. I believe more in what I did. No, I helped them to understand the fact that the pool is cleaned. Okay, now it's up to you. I don't do anything more. It's up to you. And the world works like this for me. It's like that there are forces that are beyond what optimistic view and self-sustainability, the bubbles that we were talking about, can do.
I don't know because I think some of the things Mimo said are very anarchist.
Yeah.
I mean, in an anarchist society, we all do things because we want to do them, because we need them, and because we are happy doing them. So maybe I start cleaning a pool because I want to have a bath.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know I can't do this on my own.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be
Sustainable.
so yes, there must be other people who wants to work with me in order to do that. And it doesn't mean I am the chief, I am the boss, and I decided you are cleaning, you are filling, you are.
You just initiated
Yes.
it.
We just decide that we want to do that. So it's something that we are not used to do. I was saying before, we are used to work to create things we will not be able to use because we have not enough money, we haven't got enough money, for example. And so at the same time, and in the same way, the pool hasn't been filled because people who had to fill it expected to be paid for it.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to do this. They would have done this if they would have been paid. Since they weren't paid, they didn't fill the pool. So Mimmo had this conscience, that the thing to say, I want this, so I'm doing this. One of the most important things of anarchism is action, is doing things. If you want something, you don't have to expect no one else but you to do that thing. Of course, something good is that you start something and someone comes to help because he has the same need that you have. So at the same way, if in an anarchist society you want to do nothing, you are free to do nothing. Of course, you are helped to find something you want to do, because we think that each of us has something he maybe wants or he may want, but he
Yeah.
just didn't think about it, and maybe you got depressed. You were talking about you can stay depressed all life long. Those who have been thinking about anarchism, who have been writing about anarchism, because we still don't have anarchism in its pure form, but we only have these texts, these books, and thoughts of
Or
people.
experiments of
Yes.
society, like for example, I think of there was a kind. Huh?
I have to pee.
Go for it.
I have to
Go for it.
Can I run to my room
Yeah.
and come
Yeah.
back? Okay, so
Would there be anything else to smoke, perhaps?
I don't think so, but I can look for it. But
Okay.
I'll ask. I'm coming back. I'm
Cool.
leaving here everything.
Yeah.
You're good.
No, what
You're good.
What, for example, I can think of as an experiment. There were actually two experiments that they were done to make some eco villages, which were run and how to say, not run. They were. I don't find the word.
Where were these eco villages?
One, it was in Brazil,
Okay.
and it was like an eco village that were started, let's say, from an Italian person that went to live there, but that was I don't know, 1800, no, 1900
Okay.
century.
Like 100 years ago.
200
years ago. Okay.
1900 century.
Yeah.
So
The 1800s.
1800s.
Yeah, it's the
exactly.
19th century or the
19th
1800s.
century. Okay. And it blew off because of the fact that the government then came in with the army and all this kind of stuff. And ciao. They came in with the army, and they closed it. The same it happened in Russia. Same age, I think, more or less.
Yeah.
I think one in the beginning and one in the late end of
Okay. The 1800s.
the 1800s. Maybe even the start of the 1900s. And one, it was Magnovia, it was called, and it was in Russia. And see, one, it was in the other one I really don't recall. The one in Brazil I really don't recall, but ciao. But the one in Magnovia, it was by Makhnov, which it was an anarchist, a Russian anarchist, and they experimented this kind of village without money for the first time, I think, in history. They exchanged goods like this. I mean, I have pears. I can exchange you with no value. No, they don't have. I can have a glass against a pear. I need a pear. I need a glass.
It's all relative. Yeah.
I need a glass.
Yeah.
So let's exchange.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have to give. Oh no, my glass it's worth 10 pears. No. It's the same. I need 10 pears. I get 10 pears. I have 2 glasses. I give you 2 glasses for that 10 pairs. So it's like
But it's just something that's figured out.
no, it was stopped. Otherwise, could have been striving this kind of system, especially in Russia, because of the fact that in Russia we had a lot of theoretical anarchists, like that they were writing a lot of books. Like for example, Kropotkin, it's another really good writer that, for example, debunked quotes, like not not the banking, like rereading the writings of Darwin, for example.
Okay.
The reading that the right wing at the time of Darwin did of what he wrote about evolutionism,
Evolution.
evolution. It was of the fact that, for example, the strongest win, okay, and so can strive. The strongest species can strive just by
Killing the other one.
killing the other one. Yeah. Instead, he rewrite and reread, re-understand,
Reframed it.
reframed it, yeah, the writings of Darwin, saying that okay, but this doesn't happen. We kill other species, but it didn't happen. Species against species, for example. So in the Homo sapienses, it was striving the harmony between each other. It was striving the mutual aid. So if the women would remain in the village to, I don't know, picking up berries or whatever,
Sure.
the men were more fit to go hunt.
Sure.
But there was not, you have to hunt,
Yeah.
I have to picking up berries. There was more cooperation between the single entities of the group. So for me, it was really interesting to read about Kropotkin and about what he was saying. There was, for example, another one that comes to my mind. It was Mikhail Bakunin, which it was another one that reframed, like you said, reframed Marx.
Okay.
Reframed all the fact that Marx was seeing things in a more economical way, no? Seeing people as a numbers, just as a numbers. I like more, for example, Kropotkin than Bakunin, but
They're both getting at different things.
yeah, but they both how to say, oppose the normal ways of seeing things.
Sure.
No.
Sure.
So.
Or providing, because what is normal? Providing different ways of thinking.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I
Different
wanted to
options.
say.
Yeah.
Exactly. So for me, it's like that. There are many things that we didn't know about what really happened, even in history, but also in the modern days. There are still a lot of things that we don't know that we can figure out together.
Yeah.
And that needs to be addressed as well. Needs to be addressed the fact that a single mother cannot afford to have a house and live on the street with two children or whatever. I mean, there are a lot of stuff that can be made different.
That's why I believe in community, because and I think this insular way of living, I mean, it's degrading as humans. I mean, we see it in pathologies that we develop and coping mechanisms and different mental disorders.
Sure.
The fact that it's a hard task for two people to raise a person. You need a bigger support structure. You need more people to be able to turn to, more people to be able to help you.
I think even people that fight, this kind of thinking, they have this kind of pathologies that you are talking about, like I don't know, depression or whatever. Strikes even the people that are really conscious and that really have this kind of thinking outside of the box.
It can be a motivation
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
And is like you were saying, or I forget which one of you were saying, but what I sort of think is it's like every individual has their ups and downs. Some days I'm weak, some days I'm strong, and I think we need to work together. I think we're designed to work together because if I'm strong one day and you're weak one day, well then I can do more.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'm weak one day and then you're strong one day and then you can do more.
Yeah.
And it's not about counting like you said, but just about like I don't know, like that's how I feel. And going back to like the privilege, right? That's another form of strength. If I'm strong, I want to use that strength so that we can so that can emanate out so that other people can have that strength. Because I'm not going to always have that. I'm not going to always, have energy, for example, right? And then maybe I'll be lower energy, and then I'll need help. And then, but when I'm strong, I want to help as much as possible. And it's sort of like, sort of an image I get. It's like if we're climbing up a cliff, it's sort of like, okay, I get up to this point, and then I'm able to like, able to pull someone up, and then maybe they can go up a little further, and then pull me up. And I think that way is how we together can to get somewhere. That way we can rise and
Or at least
create a life we
catch
want.
you if you fall.
Yeah,
Simply that.
Sure.
I mean,
sure,
I can catch you if you fall.
sure.
Yeah.
I can help you not to fall.
No, sure. That's the ideal. But I mean, if you fall, it happens.
Yeah.
You can be a safe place, let's say.
Yeah, and the more people we have together, well, to a certain extent, the stronger we'll be, because the more those ebbs and flows are sort of evened out, and a trajectory can sort of be mapped. And I know I'm making this a very, very material. It's not exactly in that sense, but just in the sense of, if you want to get there with anything. Yeah, I remember you were talking about it with protesting or with centro sociale. Like, people are always in it, versus I think you're talking about like in Berlin, they have some retreat and some inflow, so things can keep revolving more, because someone can push the boulder as much as possible, and then they're tired, and then you can push and then we can all move the boulder, whatever the metaphor is.
Yeah.
And also, if you think of the world situation, I think that an emblematic situation is the one which is happening in Kurdistan. I don't know if you are aware.
In where?
Kurdistan.
Kurdistan.
It's
Yes.
like the Kurdish, it's a
It's part of Turkey.
Turkey, northern
Turkey?
Syria, and a little bit of Iran,
Yes.
I think.
Okay.
Iraq, I don't remember, but I mean, it's a community that it's struggling for, like Palestinian, for example, to be
Recognized as a state.
as a state.
Because once upon a time, in that point, there were this region called Kurdistan, which had his own language, his own culture, his own. It was there wasn't only one religion. It was very open, but then the new states get formed, and so Kurdistan disappeared, and so people which were part of the same community appeared to be part of three different states. So they are now struggling to be recognized as a state because they feel as a community, as Kurdistan, not as Turkish or
Iranian.
or something.
Syrian.
So there's been a big revolution. There's been a big struggle since the 70s,
Yeah.
and now they are still struggling, and they have their form of government. It's called Repubblica Social Democratica. Social Democratic Republic, and it's based on something which is really close to anarchism, because it's based on assemblies, small assemblies, in which you get the opinion of each of the people, of everybody, and then this opinion goes to another assembly, thanks to some come si dice, tre persone deputate,
A committee.
Yeah.
a committee which goes to the bigger assembly and leads the voice of the smaller one.
Sounds
okay?
like some sort of consensus.
Yeah.
Yes, and also it's a very weird kind of society in which women are the ones which have power, to say so,
Okay.
and they have the same importance as men. And also they use that form of separatism, they call it, in which both men and women are allowed to go to war, actually to fight with guns, but also women are separated from men, because first men must be educated to respect women, and women must be educated to live between each other without hate, the hate we are used to as modern women, you know. And we have also some patriarchal patriarchy ways of thinking as women, so we have to free ourselves.
Patriarchal, yeah.
Yes, and so have to do the men. They need to be separated to think about it, and then to meet women and live in a respectful way with them. But the very curious thing is that Kurdistan is helping other forms of revolutions, even though they are different from them. I mean, the important thing is going against the system and accepting some points like freedom, like respecting people. Then you can do whatever you want in your state. But if you need to go against the system to make the respect the first point of life in a society, then you have my help. I'll be there to help you. Even though we have different laws, we have different religions, we try to help each other, even though we are different. But I know that if you need strength now, I can give you that strength. And if I feel weak someday, I can count on your strength.
Yeah.
And so I will never go to your place to tell you how to live. You will never come to my place to tell me how to live. But if you want to be free, I'll be by your side. So that's something very important that we lost, because we think, even when we go to vote, for example, we think we have to vote for someone who has the exact ideas we have, but it's impossible to find someone who thinks exactly as we think. I can tell myself what I think without changing my thoughts. I think.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to be to find
a perfect match.
A perfect match. But if we want to change something and we are sure about it, and we are sure that we are respecting people, then we can help each other, and we can find help if we need it. If we don't want it, we don't have to ask for something.
Yeah.
But we know that it's possible. So Kurdistan is doing this. They are struggling for themselves, and that's a tough struggle, because they are fighting. They are really fighting with guns against governments which have bombs, so we are doing nothing. But at the same time, if there's someone who needs help, we will send our help, and so they are doing with come si chiama dove è stato pure Zero Calcare? Oh, I can't remember the name of the place, but there is this place in which, for example, they have strange, different ways of thinking about LGBTQ plus rights, but Kurdistan, which is very free on this point of view, choose to help this this population, even though they are a bit closed compared to their way of thinking, because they think that if they are looking for their kind of freedom, they must find it. It can be a different kind of freedom. They can do this in their place where they live. If they feel good, they can do this.
Yeah.
And they must have the possibility to do this, so they are helping, even though they are dying in their battlefield. So I think the important thing of helping each other and knowing that if I am weak, I can count on your strength, is also that even though we are different, we can count on each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have to do.
We have a common ground of freedom,
Yes.
but will not enforce what freedom means.
Yes. I mean, your freedom is your freedom. My freedom ends where your freedom starts.
And I think that's so beautiful because it applies at every layer. It applies from individual to individual, family to family, community to community, right? And I think that's a good way, a good model of thinking about it that can apply to every layer.
Yes. It's working. I mean, if they wouldn't have been so fighted by the governments, by USA and everybody, they could be a very good model for the world. And they proved that they can be a good model because they just said, well, we don't want to be Turkish. We want to be what we used to be, and we will always be to be this. And we want to preserve our language, even though you are shot if you speak Kurdish in Turkey. Okay, so they are fighting for that.
Wow.
And they are choosing to fight, and even though their way of thinking is different from someone else, they are choosing to fight. They are choosing to rediscover something that we've lost, like the culture they are from. For example, their societies were based on women. Women were the ones which had decisions and which had the first place in, in the assemblies. So they are trying to actually their phrase is Jinjian Azadi, which is women, land and freedom. So no, land, women, freedom. And because they think that one of the most evil things in our society is patriarchy.
Is civil?
One of the worst things.
Okay.
Yeah.
In our society is the patriarchy, is the thing that women are put aside, and they are never listened, they have less rights than men, and actually they think that since women are mothers, they are somehow more, how to say it? Sono più benevole, sono più accoglienti. Welcoming.
Okay.
They are more. They try to understand others
more
instead of judging.
Empathic.
No,
let's
they are
Oh,
more
for sure, more intuitive. Yeah.
So
More
they
intuitive.
want to go back to that, not because women must have power, because they don't want power. but just because they have to have a voice
Yeah.
which is different from the one which already exists and which we all accepted as the one which is the right one.
It's something that, for example, in anarchism, it's a lot, how to say, written. It's a lot explored, let's say, which is feminism.
Sure.
Basically feminism, but the right kind of feminism, because nowadays they misused the term of feminism. For example, they think that, for example, the real feminist is someone that it's above the man or against the man, but a man can be a feminist. I can be a feminist. The main focus of feminism is to make women equal to men. It's something that I can agree on as a man.
Sure.
There is the exploration of okay, what is a woman? Well, who can decide what woman is? No.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the turns. Let's say I don't. I'm all, how to say? It's okay. There is the turn of okay, what is women can be a man that feels like a woman. Yeah, sure, can be a man that feels like a woman. Can be a man that become a woman. Can be a woman that.
Sure.
I mean, there are a lot of. There is a spectrum of different kinds of.
Modes of existence.
Modes of existence, exactly. But anyone can be a person that wants the equal rights of everyone. And in anarchism, for example, there is Emma Goldman that have wrote a lot about it. I mean, if you think about it, she was exiled from USA just because she was writing, not just, I mean, she did even actions that get her exiled, but she wrote many books about feminism, about how women are equal to men.
Mm-hmm.
Simply that.
And I think it's, I don't know, I think it's important to have the distinction, because equal versus the same, right? Because we were talking, and women are in general more intuitive. Men maybe in general are more analytical, if I can just maybe use that example, right? So maybe that won't be equal, but everyone's differences, everyone has different strengths, everyone has different weaknesses, everyone has different skill sets and different perspectives, and so I don't know, I struggle with the way that people use equality, because I feel that oftentimes it's let's make everyone the same. And I don't agree with that. I think let's bring our differences to the surface.
I agree with you.
But we should all be equally allowed to express whatever our differences are.
Now, also this could be applied to races, could be applied to I don't know, whatever.
Anything.
Could be applied to anything.
And it goes back to we should be allowed to discover the life that we want to live, regardless of anyone else's perception. And I wonder, I mean, do you think that everything, because that's sort of where I'm at, where talking about in a self-sustainable eco-village, for example, where maybe these principles we've been talking about tonight can be allowed to exist, right?
what I fear is, like with the examples that you've been mentioning, these governments are terrified of people regaining their power, because then they won't have any power, then they won't have any money, then whatever. So it's interesting to think. I wonder, does it have to be done small enough so that it doesn't gain the attention, and then all of a sudden, knock knock, the military's at your doorstep, and then you're fucked, it's all over, which we have many examples of? Or could this possibly transcend to an entire
global or whatever.
society?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
First I say mine, and then maybe she wants to
Add
something else. From my perspective is the fact that, okay, even if it's small enough that if it's troublemaking enough that you have the military that knocks on your door, you don't have to give up. They close you one, you open another one. They close you even that one, you open another one the day after.
They throw you in jail.
They throw you in jail.
I mean, just go to the worst possible scenario, right? Because
there are many people that died for that. There are many people that got in jail, that are tortured, that are evicted, that are any kind of repression make on them. So to even how to say, lift up their struggles and their martyrs, let's say, way of living, you have to be like them, let's say, and be able even to make 100 of yourself.
Yeah.
Get what I'm
mean
with that.
Yeah.
You have to be able of with what you are doing, what we were saying about schools, teach other people to be as fearsome as yourself. So the way of making it global could arrive just from a place that starts small but become uncomfortable for the system and never stops. Okay, is the only way for me, because I mean, okay, they close a school that we are making for free for every children of the poorest neighborhood of the city. We open another one the next day because there is the need of this school. There are a lot of children that in this neighborhood cannot go into the school. We open a school. Otherwise, it's everything lost, and then yes, it's like that you lose hope.
Yeah. And then people thinking this way just die off, and then the system uses these examples as propaganda for, this is why this is crazy, this is why you need us, this is why, you're gonna be our little slave, or whatever. This is why you're gonna go to work, and then you're gonna buy our shit, and you're gonna live a happy life, and this is what happiness is.
The same, you are making an eco village for make people understand that it's possible to live in a different and sustainable way according to the laws of nature, the only laws that matters actually.
Yeah.
And then you fucked up everything just because you give up. Yeah, for me it's like that. I mean that you don't give up.
You always find a way.
Yes, you have to, if you want to do something. I mean, sometimes I feel bad because I am working, because I am part of the society, because I am not doing enough to change. But at the same time, I say, well, I'm aware. I am trying to do my best in order to change the way we are living.
Got to tread water before you can swim.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, it's like we know. In this society, it's hard to build something different, and sometimes it gets dangerous. So you have to choose if it's worth. If you, if what you believe in is worth all the bad things you go through. For example, there is a very important social center in the in northern Italy. It's called Boccaccio, and it's in Monza. It's a place which has been occupied, and then police came and took them away, and then they occupied another place, and police came and took them away, and they occupied another place. Now they have like 300,000 euros to pay because of what they did.
They got fined.
Yeah.
Yes, they got, yes, and but they didn't stop. They just found a way to make joke of laws. I don't know.
Yeah.
And for example, some old people, which are 80 years old, are taking all the responsibilities for the occupation, so that they know that police will do nothing to them because they are old. They won't go to jail.
Really?
Yes. And so they can still occupy and do what they are doing, but because there is the need in Monza, for example. Monza is a big city, it's close to Milan, and there is the need of a space like that, of a social space in which whoever can go and feel good and have something to do and have some possibilities like studying, watching movies, playing instruments, or anything. So you have to find your ways to resist and to exist
Your
in this world.
shortcuts, let's say.
Yes.
Yeah. I would
And-
love. Sorry.
No.
I think it would be very interesting. I'd love to see these places, and like, I mean, I'm 1 month into learning Italian, but I think over time I'll be able to speak Italian better if I keep at it. But I don't know, sort of an idea that I just had. I think it'd be really cool and like to go to these places and maybe if it's possible, maybe document some of what's happening. Of course, I don't know what the line is between, getting, I wouldn't want to put them in the spotlight so much that like it's destructive to what they're doing, but enough to say, oh, there's other ways to do things. And I don't know. I mean, I think that'd be something that'd be great if you guys were interested, if you guys would want to do that with me or want to help me do that. And especially if we'd want to maybe like do some sort of like actual like documentary style thing.
Yeah,
I think that could be very interesting.
She's a video maker, for example.
Yeah,
'Cause-
we have been looking for these things for a lot of time. I mean, it's what we would like to do. I'd like to. One of my ideas is to document the social centers in Italy, but well, in a certain way, because I think I would like to document the end of the social centers, because I think they are evolving in something else. They have done their time. I mean, they are done. Social centers were born in the 90s, in the last 80s, and they had a great time in the 90s, in the first years of this century, but then now, because of the laws, because of many things, because of drugs,
Especially because of drugs.
yes, they are becoming something else. They are becoming like discotheques. I don't know. Yes, they are
Most of
becoming
them.
like bars where you go after work to chill and to smoke. That's it. So, but
Which is
the
important
thing-
too, but a different.
But the thing I would like to
But
catch is
they-
what is keeping us alive.
Exactly. For example, what I think that she's trying to say is the fact that maybe they have lost their political struggle, political fire that there was maybe in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s. In that time, they were trying to really change the minds of the young for going against an unestablished political structure that there was
Of
at
course,
the time.
you have to think that social centers come from the hippie cultures, which comes from the gypsy cultures, which comes from lots of stuff, which is nothing but being against the total system.
Yeah.
So
Also from, for example, from the workers, no, from
Yes.
the underclass, how to say, from the working class, exactly.
working class.
From the working class of the 70s, no? They were struggling a lot because of the fact that in the 70s there was a lot of speculation from the politicians at that time, and they were really pissed off till the point that they started taking guns against the police, against the army. They were starting really to revolt, almost like, for example, in the French Revolution. No, they
Wow.
had this idea of overthrowing the politicians.
Mhm.
There was the BRs, like Brigate Rosse, it's called here,
Red brigades.
Red Brigades, translated, which they were proper taking guns against the established, still a lot their way of seeing it was a lot Marxist, but they took a really they got a politician killed, for example, which it was a politician that everyone how to say worshipped, no, after that he got killed, because he was killed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But in the time that he was in the power, let's say, it was not the worst or whatever. But in the time that he was in the power, he was in one of the main political party that was making Italy a ruin, let's say, which it was.
In the first with mafia.
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah, a lot linked to mafia, to the mobs, and it was called, this political party, Democrazia Cristiana, which it means Christian Democrats.
Democracy.
Democrats.
So it was a
Christian
religious foundation.
Yes, but no,
Yes and no.
at
No,
the end, no.
It's like right.
It was just the name for saying that they were a lot
Conservatives
conservative. Okay.
Okay.
and they had those ideals which were very Italian, which are democracy, but Italians never know what democracy is actually, and Christian, because we are Christian.
And
here.
family and all
Yes, all those
what
values.
Christianity means.
And both.
Interesting.
Yes. By the way, they were making very tough stuff, and of course, I mean, I don't know if I totally agree with the Red
same,
Brigades.
The
I mean,
same. I don't agree with all what they did, but
I don't think we need to be. I don't think we need to kill people in order to reach something.
same.
I think we need to talk to people. I think we can change people, but not to change them in the way we want them to change.
The way I like to frame it, like you can't convince someone of something, but maybe you can inspire some thought.
Yeah.
right? The idea of let's elevate our consciousness, right? We're not gonna convince anyone of anything. We're not gonna make anyone think a certain way. But if we all have a little bit more consciousness, we're all gonna be aware of what our actions are doing more so, and maybe then we'll be able to work together towards some sort of solution.
No, in fact, I said that just because of the historical meaning of what they did, for example, or where, for example, the social center came from. I was just adding to that. I was not saying, oh, I agree with the Red Brigades.
No,
Let's
no,
go
of
to
course.
kill some
Yes, yes.
Of
some
course.
politicians. No, I would never do something
But
like that.
they come from that too.
They come from
So
that
they
too.
were really fighting once. In the 90s, still there was that strong fight. Every social center had these guns and
Yeah.
these weapons. I mean, in order to have a, come si dice, lotta armata?
Armed fight.
Armada.
Yeah, it's like-
Guerrilla.
Armada.
No, armed
Armata
fight.
is like when you fight with guns and with weapons.
Armada is like a group of people who get some sort of weapons and
Yes,
fight something.
okay.
Yeah.
From what I
They
understand.
were
Yeah.
armadas actually because they were able to fight. Now we are more able to protest and to manifest something.
And even there, we have a lot of repression from the police because they are more weaponized.
Of course, we don't want to go to jail because we want to keep on fighting. I mean,
Yeah.
we have to calibrate our our weapons and I mean our tools
Yeah.
in order
Yeah.
to keep on fighting. Because if we got all prison,
Jailed.
if we
or-
go to jail, all of us, no one can spread that things we are talking about
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
And we need to find a smart way to fight, to be influenced, because of course we know that protesting in the street can be useful, but it can be useless.
Yeah.
It, like the pride, the gay pride, for example. It used to be a moment to struggle, a moment of fight, a moment of political engagement and a lot of stuff. Now it's just a parade because we tried to use our tools as we could, but in order to reach as much people as possible, we
Got diluted.
Yes, it's like we ourselves made things smaller than how they could be.
Yeah, and that's
So-
sort of the problem. Is you try to relate to everyone else, then what your message is becomes diluted to
Yes.
to nothing.
I think that not just that, even the system use this kind of methods to make you
Yes.
diluted.
Oh,
For
for
example,
sure. 100%.
for example, one simple example: Che Guevara. Okay, the Cuban Revolution and all this kind of stuff. You know, they used to think of. We used to think of Che Guevara in a certain way. No. That he was a revolutionary, blah blah blah. I mean, the real story of him, it was him against the USA, against the capitalism, against all this kind of system. The system took this as an icon, okay, and sell the T-shirts.
Yep.
So they adapt themselves to the idea of him. They scrap all the ideas
Yeah.
that he was trying to spread, and they sell the T-shirt with Che Guevara.
And
on
that's
your
the
chest.
brilliance of it. Not to bring it up, but I mean it's important to understand. I mean, like
Yeah.
the system is brilliant. It's
Yeah.
incredibly aware of everything that's fighting against it. And the
self-sustaining
brilliance is
and self-repairing. Let's say, even if you crack it in a certain way, somehow he finds the way to repair itself.
yeah.
Also,
It's using using your energy. It's like some sort of martial art. It's like, you know, I'm attacking you, and then it's using my energy against me.
redirect to
Exactly.
yourself,
It's
yeah.
this redirection, and
Yeah.
and it's I don't know. I can admire it intellectually.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to understand. Yeah, like you can rush in and you can be gun ho, but that's just going to be turned around because this has happened many times, and they know how to manipulate these things.
It's hard.
It's sad,
Really?
but so
Really
sort of
sad.
what I'm feeling right now is I really think that I could do something, and maybe if we work together, we could do something in terms of bringing information to light, right? Sort of illuminating, like so few people know what's going on, you know, in these little areas, and the information that is known is coming from the system, which turns it to oppose everyone. And I think it'd be really beneficial to go in and document what's going on. I mean, this is very simple. Like the reason why I like recording conversations is right now, like I don't have the system to, you know, really like edit and really fucking, you know, create a product. So that's why I like podcasts, because you just fucking turn on the microphone. Oh, this mic died, so we'll find another microphone. We'll figure it out, right? And I think this is important too, these conversations, and I want to keep having these conversations with you guys in the future or with whoever. But then also maybe doing something a bit more professional in terms of really like going in and doing like a deep dive of what's going on, and presenting this information in a very digestible, not overly produced, you know, and that's sort of the balance of it. But I don't know. I'm feeling that calling at me right now is being able to document these things, because I don't know. I'm myself am very, very curious about these things, about a lot of things, and I want to use that curiosity to help inspire curiosity in others, and through that, I think that might be a key in terms of elevating consciousness. And maybe that's just a part that I can play, you know, sort of thinking about it that way. But I mean, I know it's late. I know you guys are tired. You probably want to get some sleep. I understand you guys have been working your ass off. But I just want you guys to know, like, I hope, you know, you guys are gonna go on and do your thing. But I hope you guys know, like, this is something that I'm genuinely passionate about, and you know, when I want to reconvene, and I want to keep talking with you guys so that we can try to make something happen. We can try to organize some sort of production or whatever the fuck, because I'm sure you guys have some other connections, some other people that would be interested in this, and maybe we could really make something, and that can be a way of promoting this education. Maybe that can be a little piece, you know.
Yes,
So
it would be great. Maybe we could start meeting in Cosenza sometimes.
Okay.
There is a small centro sociale, which is called Rialzo. It's not a good example, but it's something.
Sure.
And maybe
It's a
we could
start,
start
let's
from
say.
there, and then, you know, I would like to travel. He's been traveling more than I did.
When you say travel, you mean
Travel,
in Italy
travel,
or Europe, or where are we talking?
Italy and Europe, for example, for me. I have been, for example, in Rome a lot of time, like 2 years, but 1 year working, 1 year instead traveling, knowing the city, knowing especially the social centers of the city. Florence, instead I did 6 months like that, just get to know all the social center. And then I spent 2 years in Berlin, just traveling to make to get connection, make get to know people, and find out all the realities that there were around.
Mm-hmm.
The difference that I find out, for example, is that here in Italy there was a lot less anarchist movement. Let's say there was a lot of Marxist based social centers. There in Berlin, instead, it was full anarchist. Like there were really little communists as Marxist. I mean.
So wait, I just want to get the distinction right. Communist or anarchist?
Communist anarchist, yeah, are two different stuff. I call it Marxist because of the fact that communists could be even anarcho-communism, which is a branch of anarchism. That, for example, they believe in the commune, no?
Mm-hmm.
They are anarchists. There is no institution, there is no hierarchies and all this kind of stuff, but still they believe in a commune, that there is a neighborhood, that there is an eco-village, whatever. Then, for example, there is the green anarchists, there is individualism. Individual anarchists are the ones that don't believe in communes, like they believe in the fact that you can be a real anarchist just if you are yourself, because you are the one that can understand yourself better than anyone, and that you are able to provide to yourself without the help of anyone in their thoughts, obviously. I believe, for example, in anarcho-communism, for example, and green communism, green anarchism, I'm sorry, because of the fact that the commune without nature, it's useless, pointless.
Yeah, no, I'm coming at it from the same angle. Like you can fight as much as you want, but you still gotta feed yourself. And where does that food come from?
And you still need people.
Yes.
I mean, around.
Yes.
I mean, you still need how to say. I mean, I found out myself alone, and I didn't like myself when I am really completely alone.
I've came to that same realization.
For me, it's like that you need help, not just in a material way, like, for example, growing a field, growing plants in a field, but also emotionally, mentally, you need help from other people around you, sociality.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of the distinction that I make is just for that. I mean, just for the fact that here in Italy there is a lot of how to say, the partisans, the history of the partigiano. Okay.
They were the ones which were fighting against fascists.
Okay.
And they've been actually fighting with guns and everything.
Hiding in the mountains, wherever.
Yes, and we have this strong culture of the resistance against fascism.
Yeah.
The partisans were those who were actually making the resistance against Mussolini. And so we have this big heritage of communism. Actually, it's communism because then the partisans weren't communists. Actually, they were just someone who thought differently from the regime.
Yeah.
And then they found out that they liked communist thought. At the same time, when you were asking between which is the difference between communism and anarchism, it stays in hierarchy. Actually, hey, vai, ce la vuoi fare? Ti sciango?
No, Makashu.
No?
Mi
Mi
vai
curcu?
curcu.
Me curco, fighi puttana.
Ciao, buonanotte.
Buonanotte.
He's trying to learn some Calabrian,
Dialect.
some
Calab-
dialect.
Calabrese.
Calabrian dialect.
My favorite is Mi Spagno.
Mi spagno.
Mi Spagno.
I'm
I'm
scared.
afraid.
Yeah, I just think it's
scared.
funny because it's I'm Spain. It's
Yes,
just like
it's because we were here. Spanish people came,
Yeah.
and it was a true invasion.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you were afraid of something, you Spagni, okay, because of the Spanish.
Spagni.
Okay.
Mi Spagni.
Io mi spagno.
Io
tu
mi
ti
Spagno.
spagni.
Sì,
Okay, so it's because of the Spanish.
mi Spagno.
They were, yes, we were afraid of Spanish, so mi spagno. Yeah, it's because of that. So communism accepts hierarchy. So thinks that there must be a leader which has the power and tells you how to behave.
Then
That
then
diverts the goods. Okay.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take in the goods and then
Yeah.
equalize the
Spread
good.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's communism.
I mean,
Anarchism-
it's not that bad in the sense that, for example, in a fascist society or in a capitalist society, it's not. I mean, it's worst, let's say, but it's still the less evil, the least evil,
Lesser evil.
evil. Yeah, it's still the lesser evil for me. What I would like is that I don't need someone that
Yeah.
spread the goods or the wealth
Yeah.
that there is in the world.
Some sort of cooperation
yeah.
amongst individuals.
Yeah,
And is that the idea? I mean, I find it interesting because my preconceived notion of anarchy is there is no writing it down. There is no you can, talk about the ideology of it, but then from my understanding, isn't an anarchy sort of the opposite of ideology? It's or how would you define it?
it's a bit problematic because there are a lot of school of thoughts, and that means the fact that exactly there is not an exact ideology, no.
Yeah, no definition.
There is not proper definition of what it is anarchism. Everyone has its own way of thinking of what could be an
Yeah.
anarchist society.
Yeah.
And in this, I think that personally, obviously, I think that, for example, an anarchist society should be that everyone has its own that they have the possibility of having a house, of having a land, of having everything that the world has to offer, and this is reached through also education, because for example, if you have no money involved, no, in the education, you don't have a teacher that does it because of the money, no.
Mm-hmm.
He does it because of the passion that he has, that he or she has, or whatever has towards.
But they need to be able to have habitation and food.
and that is granted to everyone,
Yeah.
no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because of
That's
the
the way to
fact-
get around the money.
Because of the fact of okay, I teach, I don't get money in turns, and I do something that I really enjoy to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it benefits the children that learns something in a really good way because of the teacher that teaches with passion.
Mm-hmm.
And what the teacher teaches, it's like everything that the children needs to learn. So can decide to be a carpenter, can decide to be a builder, no? I have a house, and I have everything granted. No, I do the builder. I make houses for the community, but I have everything granted, so I do it just because of passion,
Yeah.
out of passion.
Yeah.
So I can build buildings that are not just squared. I build buildings that are rounded, that are
Sure.
half
What,
of
however you want to
moon,
build them, yeah.
However you want to build it, because you do out of passion. no?
Yeah.
So there is this harmony between all the jobs that there are in the world that makes everything go well. I cultivate food because of the fact that I enjoy
Yeah.
to cultivate food.
And
so
it's-
everyone has food.
And it's both ways. Like when you're doing something you enjoy and what resonates with you, then that's frictionless for you and that's joyful for you. But then what you're doing, like the product you're creating, is actually a better product. Again, I'm using
Exactly.
these, capitalist term, whatever. But this, what you're creating is of higher value. It's of more depth to it, and more people can appreciate it. And then then we can all have this.
And not just that, even the fact that
Ciao. Hey. Hey, you know how it is.
And not just that, I mean, also the fact that, for example, the person in charge,
Yeah.
unquote, in charge of spreading the goods, let's say,
Sure.
like I organize all the stockage that there is of food, for example.
So that the builder gets food, so
organized-
that the teacher gets food, so that
I do it for pleasure because I want to do it.
yeah.
So it's everything fitting, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, and I love this because it's all it's fractal,
Yeah.
right? So it's fitting into the bigger system, but to do that you have to find yourself and fit into yourself, and then once internally that's solved, then externally that connects as well. So I don't know, I just, for me, like it's so beautiful, you know. And the question is making it reality.
And that's what my struggle in my life, in my head, every day for finding a way of making it a reality.
Yeah. Well, it depends on people, right?
Yeah.
So we need the right amount of people, because it's like if you do it with two people, okay, one person's a carpenter, one person, but then you're missing the doctor, or the healer, whatever. You're missing the teacher, everything else. So, and what I want to create is a community that, like, I can raise children in the community, and that's sufficient in that, where then there is an education system for them, that I don't have to fucking send them to fucking outside. And
exactly.
like the dude that just passed, like Rob, like we were talking about the same thing. Like, so I don't know. I'm very, very hopeful in, like, traveling, like in even just being here for just a short amount of time, because I'm meeting people such as yourself that I guess to lump us into one's alternative sort of thinking, in terms of doing it another way, and promoting the fact that this, promoting this, and then creating examples for this that can be done, going to places, documenting where it's being done, how it's evolving, how it works, I don't know. There's a couple pieces of the puzzle here.
A suggestion that comes to my mind, for example, it's something that there are some people that are doing it right now, for example, here in Italy, which is repopulating places like, not this, but
Ghost towns.
ghost towns. Yeah.
Borghi fantasmi? How do you
Borghi fantasmi.
Really?
Yeah.
Borghi fantasmi.
There are some people that are repopulating Borghi fantasmi, and if the people that repopulate this kind of places are people like us.
Yeah.
Then you can manage
We
to
can
make
create
a
it.
city.
Yeah. So I wonder. I have a very practical question. So I'm looking to move to Italy.
Yeah.
Right. And I sort of get overwhelmed by analysis paralysis of like, well, fuck. I mean, I've been to like 3 towns in Calabria, 3 small towns. Like this is the one I've been in the longest, and I'm learning more, every second I'm here. But my question is like, or not. I don't know. Let me get to it. How do I find, like, the question I'm sort of asking myself is, how do I know which one makes the right sense? Or I guess this, do you know of any, would you recommend any places to move to or to buy property? I know that's a big question. I just and I guess I'll just do this. I guess I'll just put the question out there just so you know where I'm coming from, and maybe if you see something, maybe you can get back to me.
Yeah, this for sure. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, the main problematic would be the fact that maybe you are used to the amount of land, let's say, that there is in the United States, which is
Good night, man.
good night,
Bye.
which is huge, which is really there is a lot of space, so you have really a lot of possibilities of taking places. No, here instead it's really small, so the owners of some lands are really attached to it, even if they don't live in it.
Yeah.
So if you want a place, it's more easy to occupy it.
No, it's not true.
No, it's not true, but it becomes really expensive.
Buonanotte. I mean, yes, it may be easier to occupy if you wouldn't risk 6 years of jail.
Yes.
Well, and I faced some other challenges. I'm not an Italian citizen. I don't even have
an occupation since 3 years.
Sure, but I'm not even. So, for example, I can't even.
I want to get out from it. I mean, for other reasons, but I mean, there are ways. There are a lot of occupations that are here since the 80s. No.
Okay.
That are bigger occupations, that are community occupation and all this kind of stuff, and that they are in the city, so they kind of reach agreements with the government, with the mayors or whatever. But I mean,
You always have to get to a compromise if you want to do something like that.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a place where to buy maybe a land, I could tell you wherever. I mean, every place here is a good place. What I can suggest is to find a place which is close to someone else, because I, since my sister makes this life she's making, I noticed there are a lot of people which actually want to live like you want to live. So I think that starting from getting close to other people who live this way, and close doesn't mean like this.
Yeah.
Close.
It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be adjacent, just
Yeah.
in the area for sure.
And here we have lots of realities and lots of people trying to live in a self-sustainable way and respecting nature and with their own animals and land and everything. So maybe, yes, the only suggestion is keep on traveling and meeting people and try to find a place in which people are not too bad, like here, for example. I don't like Badolato. I think there is. I mean, I like this place, but I don't like people. I saw like some criminal stuff in their eyes, and Va a dormire, buonanotte. A domani.
Lasciami le chiavi fuori.
Tu dormi con Danilo? Ah, cazzo, Isabella stare a dormire. Okay. I have to go in a while because my roommate is surely sleeping.
Mm.
And I have to break the door, maybe. So, or maybe Mimmo can enter from the window like the last time. So,
I appreciate you guys taking the time.
I really wanted to do this, so maybe just find out other people who have this same way of thinking and try to
Get together.
find the place which is better than this, because here I found some weird stuff, like, yes, you are welcome here until you behave as I want you to, until you buy alcohol in my bar, until you buy weed from me, until you sleep in my rooms, then you are an enemy. I understood something like that.
Yeah.
And I think there are better realities than this, because Badolato is changing, is becoming... You were asking before, how do you do not to... like, if you want to populate a place, how do you do not to be too touristic and to sell yourself?
Yeah.
For example, here they are selling themselves. I
Yeah.
think they've been selling themselves and their culture. And I think there are more genuine
Mm-hmm.
places than this, and more genuine people than the one I found here. Maybe I found the wrong ones. But I think you can find a better place and a better land and many more people who wants to live like you want to.
Yeah.
And of course, maybe before choosing where to live, it's important to know as much as possible. So keep
Yeah.
on traveling.
That's why I
And
get so
discovering-
caught up, because it's like I've never been in the position where I'm like, oh, I get the full picture. It's always like I get a bigger picture and I'm like, oh, there's more I'm missing. There's more I'm missing. And the more I know, I'm like, fuck, I don't know anything. And then I'm like, well, when am I gonna get to the point where I can like make a decision and feel, oh, this is the right decision?
Never,
it's
I
a-
think
Yeah.
never, because
It's
I
always
mean,
like this.
I've been in Berlin for 2 years, and I still have the feeling that I don't know Berlin.
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
It's I think a lot of time, but for a city like that, I mean, you would find things that you don't know even in 20 years probably.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe there are people here that live here since 40 years,
Yeah.
that knows a lot of stuff from here, know a lot of people and all this kind of stuff. And maybe if you stay 2 years here, you think that you know a lot, but then actually not.
I don't know. For a few years in my life, I've been thinking that more than finding a land and living there, it would have been more useful to me and to people if I would have been traveling all over the world, like an homeless. Like,
Mm.
we've been talking a lot about like buying a van
Mm-hmm.
and going around the
Travel.
world, traveling just to meet people and exchanging ideas and trying to live in a self-sustainable way, in a way that the band supports, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, you don't have a land, you don't have, you are not so.
Yeah, it's a different
self-sustainable.
objective.
But it was because our aim was to reach as much people as possible and to be unreached by the people we reached.
Mm.
So this was the
A
idea.
kind of
So-
different approach of staying in a place fixed,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
you face different kind of problems, no?
Yeah.
When you are stagnated, let's
Yeah.
say, when you are stuck
Yeah.
in a place for a long time. Respect to travel. No, you
Yeah.
get tired of a place, you go in another place. No,
Yeah.
and you have circulation also of people that comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
There you have a different kind of problems. Maybe with the traveling, you have different kind of uncomfortable stuff that happens to you, let's say.
Yeah.
But then it's a
It's a trade.
choice.
It's always a trade. Yeah.
I mean that you make.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also because you have to live in the system in order to do a life
Yeah,
like this.
for
You have to get
example.
the fuel and the food.
Yeah.
and
So you need to have
everything.
some savings before
Yes.
going into it, or some sort of cash flow as you're doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, you can try to do it like day by day, maybe trying to get some money.
But then you're gonna get back into stagnation. It's gonna be harder to.
Yes.
So I wonder, would you recommend Calabria as a whole? I mean, because then there's many regions, right? So that's where it
Yes.
gets. So
Calabria is an art place. You know, there's a lot.
you
of
said hard place.
Hard place.
because it's beautiful. There's a lot of potential in it, even not a potential in a capitalistic way of
No, for what we're
getting-
talking about.
Yes, but also there's lots of resistance to it. I mean, Calabria is a place which is now discovering industrialization and true capitalism,
Mm-hmm.
and we decided we want it all. I mean, Calabrian want to be like they are in Milan now. So the goal of the medium Calabrian person is to have the car and to have an industry or to have something
Yeah.
big, and so
Hmm.
we are not thinking of what we actually have. I mean, I'm really mad because we don't see what we have, because criminality has everything. Because if you want a land, you have to struggle. For example, my sister lives in Serra Stretta, and I wanted to buy the house which is close to her.
Mm-hmm.
She has lots of lands, but there is really close to her house that small piece of land which is of an old woman which doesn't want to sell this place, which wants to sell it but just to her conditions. You have to do this with no laws, I mean with no documents and everything, and it makes it harder to you to get to live there, to buy this house. It was really cheap. I have got no money, but it was really cheap, and they said, well, I could pay it in a while, and maybe in another while make this house come back to how it was, because it's very old.
Mhm.
It has to be you have to, I should do a lot of works, yes.
Yeah.
But it's very hard, because then you have to buy this place, but you have to talk to all the neighbors and see if they agree.
Otherwise, they can get it within a year,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
they can just take it for what you bought
Yes.
it for.
Yes. You
I heard
have
about
to
that
get
law, and I'm
the
like, that's fucking
permission.
crazy.
Yes, you have to get the permission. If there is someone, some of the neighbors who wants this land, he can buy it.
They have the right.
Yes,
Yeah.
they have the right.
Before
they have the
you.
right, and so it's hard, because most of the families that live here are not good families, so they are strange families.
Mm.
So it's strange, but I think that Calabria could be a good place, also because all of us are going away, actually. So maybe in a while, all of the places will be quite like Badolato, and I hope they are not going to do like Badolato is doing, which means being so touristic.
That's the shame of it. It's like, I mean, this is such a beautiful village with the ocean, with the mountains. Like, it's so beautiful. Like, I'm sure there's other like borghi that, you know, like are much more abandoned, but they're probably more inland, and you
Yes.
don't have as much access to the ocean. It's not quite as beautiful.
Yes.
Which, I mean, sure, maybe those are just icing on the cake, but it's still a shame that these places are so easily sold out to touristic
Yes,
desires.
of course, it's the only perspective they see.
Mm.
For example, we have been struggling during the last century. We have been struggling because we didn't want to be the one. We didn't want to be the farm of Italy.
Mm.
Okay, because there is this big
North
difference, yes, between north and southern Italy. So we didn't want to be the farmers. We didn't want to be those who have the lands. We struggled to have the industries and everything. So I also understand what is happening because we have been considered as less than the others because we were working on the lands, because we still had animals, because we still harvest stuff and everything. And so we were struggling to change and to say to the world we do exist. We are not only those with the weird hat and the gun and
Not that there's any shame in that.
so, and yes, but I mean I understand what they are what
The gentrification that is
Yes.
happening.
Yeah.
let's say.
can understand it because it's like a sense of come si dice rivalsa?
Uh,
It's like if you want to say I am not what you say that I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am not only this.
Like rebellion.
yes.
okay, yeah.
So our rebellion has been we can we can enter the capitalistic world as the other.
Yeah.
So the last century has been for Calabria like a struggle to enter capitalism.
Yeah.
So now how to explain to us that all of that is wrong and is leading us to the ruin.
And also the fact that I think that is happening even in the rest of the south of Italy.
Guys,
I mean,
it's late. I'm sorry. I have to.
Yeah,
No.
sleep. I'm
no.
sorry. It's
No,
four-
well,
almost 4 o'clock, and we have to leave at 10.
is
in
it
the
really
morning.
almost 4 o'clock?
Yes,
Oh my god.
3:45.
That's what I love about beautiful conversations like
Yeah.
this is you don't even know when the hours
Yes.
pass by.
But it's very late.
Well, I think in the future we'll get more chances to continue
Yes.
this
Yes.
narrative.
Please keep in touch, and
Yeah, 100%.
if you'll go to my sister, please let me know.
Hmm.
I'd like to be there too if you'll go,
Yeah.
and we'll meet again. I
Yeah.
think.
Of course. And I think we could really do some cool things.
And you should visit Cosenza
Yes.
with us,
Okay.
so that we make you get around and find out.
You're both in Cosenza or you're in Catanzaro?
I'm in Catanzaro, but now we are going to work to Cosenza.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about moving again to Cosenza because I've been living there 11 years. And now I've been living in Reggio, Calabria.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. And I went back to my mom's house to help her with my grandpa. But now I would like to go back to Cosenza to live, I think, this year, I don't know, once I'll have the money. And so maybe we can meet there if you want.
Definitely.
So
I live.
if I'm not
I
there,
live there
it's
instead.
it's easy for me to get there. If I'm in Catanzaro, it's just 1 hour away, so it's easy to me to get there
Yeah.
and to meet there.
So crazy how the universe works. I'm glad it brought us together.
Yeah.
Yes, so crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, and let's talk again about that project, that documenting stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I
really
think
interesting.
I think it would be cool if we could, and you guys wouldn't have to do a film you don't like doing so much. Maybe we could do a project we're passionate about.
We can put our knowledge together.
Together,
Yes.
It's
exactly.
what we are here for.
Definitely.
I think.
Cool.
So,
You guys got everything?
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
so I will never wake up tomorrow.
Me neither.